This is day 334 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, please contact me directly. Be very greatly appreciated. Today we are doing Siman Reish Lamed Tes Sif Vav till Siman Reish Mem Sif Zayin. Vav. B'yesh Kasa Pia Medrash L'Kol Shlosh Parshias. There's a Medrash which says that it indicates once you read all three Parshias on Kriyash Mamita Shishbar Mach Tevos, because they have 248 words. The Shmir Sarmache Barim, which is the Shmir for the 248 limbs. Habakim Shemar first rock Parsha Rishona ain't Sarchis, since the Gemara only says one Parsha, you don't need more. Mishnah Berurah says that it's always good to say Kriya Shema in its entirety with Kel Melech Namon. If you Mar Mi B'Yom, you have to read all the Parshias. Although we said before it's preferable not to do it Kriya Shema Mita, but if you didn't do it before, you have to do Kriya Shema Mita, and that might be Yotze the Mitzvah say Kriya Shema and the Mitzvah say Zechiras Yitzias Mitzrayim. Back to the Shulchan. But again, I mean, a Parsha, most people is only to read the first Parsha of Shema and Kriya Shema Mita, unless again they daven Mar early. The Ches Rabbein Ramah, Dikar Kriya Shema Samach Mitasa. You should read Shema immediately adjacent to going to sleep. Ain't Ochlim Mishosim Medabmi Kriya Shema Shal Mitasa El Yisha Milbad. Should not eat, drink, or speak after Kriya Shema and Mita, or rather go to sleep immediately. Mishnah Berurah writes that if he is very thirsty or must speak something essential, he is allowed to speak, and then he should say Shema over again after he engages in the activity. But if he already made the bracha of Amapil, he's not allowed to do all these things. And to be honest with you, I have not made the bracha of Amapil in maybe 40, maybe 50, no, not 50, maybe 40 years, because the chashash that you're not going to fall asleep right away, etc., etc. But those who say Amapil have to be makpid, not to do anything afterwards. This is Baruch HaShulchan says you have to say in your heart on your bed and immediately go silent. You're allowed to read Kriya Shema Mita when you're lying down. If you read Kriya Shema, you can't go to sleep immediately. Over and over again until you fall asleep. Because in order that your reading Shema should be juxtaposed to your sleeping. Of course, you should not say Shema Shema, because then B'Shafkin also. You don't make bracha Kriya Shema Mita. All this is a quote from the from who are we quoting? The Ramah. It doesn't mean that after a mapil there's no interruption at all until you fall asleep. Like other brachas we can interrupt between hamotzi and tilas hamotzi, etc. You say psukim afterwards according to Rambam, at least the parsha of Shema. But after mishum shmira, even though they're on account of safeguarding, if you can't interrupt, my mahani shem mishum shmira, what good does it do that's a shmira? So the Arukh HaShulchan is much more lenient than Mishnah Berurah. He says that there is no concept of hefsek here, which constitutes a prohibition, as in other brachas. The reason is the shena ena biyad adam. Steiner has to fall asleep. But as far as the custom faces, custom sukkah perik dalad or rosh Mordechai, the chen ein barim shena sukkah, that's they don't make a bracha on sleeping in the sukkah, only on eating. Ein sham bracha si chiyubis on yana shena shel adam. This bracha is mandated on the concept of sleeping of a person. And that's why it should be as close to sleeping as possible. And when a person has to have marital relations, he should read Shema afterwards. He told Yadav, he should wash his hands and say Shema if he's clean of semen. And which Ramah said, there's an issue you're allowed to read when you're lying down. This is according to when you want to have mind be able to Kriya Shema with this Kriya Shita Swash Yislam and Siman Reish Lamed Hey, because that's to be lie down to Yotze Kriya Shema, in order not to look like you're doing the Beis Shammai. And but if you're ready, Yotze Kriya Shema for that night. It's best to lie down. And that is the widespread minhag. Mishnah says that those people are machmir lichatchila to read it standing or sitting, but if you lay down, the chuliyam you're allowed to recline on your side and read it. The Arukh HaShulchan is obviously of a very different opinion that it's even lichatchila. That which just says you have to you say it over and over again. Kavanos means mashir say whatever you want. O shma or psukim, the shma or the psukim or shar the Torah, any words of Torah. Be mahar b'Torah and tzarchos, and if he thinks thoughts of Torah, that's enough. Mashem baruch makriya shal mita mita. So why is there no bracha on kriya shmal mita if it's a tapkan of Rabbanan? A tam pashut achiv ein ela b'birchas hamapil. The reason is simple because the chiv is only to say birchas hamapil. Ve'im v'osha bracha and there's no bracha on the bracha. Nishgam nashim chayavas birchas hamapil. Women also make the bracha of hamapil. V'rov nashim shon nizaros b'zeh. Most of our women are careful about this. Zayin yoshin in a room, person is sleeping naked. Lo yivshot chaluko. He should not remove his garment. B'shiva so while he's sitting, so that he is revealed as naked. Elishka mimitosa. He should lay down his bed. Yichas esmo so he cover himself with a sheet. Yivshot chaluk and remove his shirt, his garment. Derech rosho above his head, ma'at. Slowly. And whatever he uncovers, he should cover it with the sheet. In the brackets it says, I am a he's not happy that people say the vidu have a shchimera every night. People thought that a person should not open his mouth to the Satan and bring upon himself perhaps a self-fulfilling prophecy. Rachmana litzlan. There is a Indian not to sleep alone in a house. Mishnah says it's even in a room, not just the whole house. Some say it's in a house which is isolated from other houses, which I guess is one of the things which we rely on. Other things we rely on is if you have a little light in the room, it's considered to be sufficient that you're not considered to be yoshin yechidi, even though nobody else is sleeping in the room. Okay, Simon Reish Mem. The person should accustom himself in his relations, marital relations, to modesty. I heard many years ago in my Chotzin Shmuz, when I received it, that Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky said that everything here which is brought down halacha, or most of the things brought down halacha here, are really midos chasidus, and he was 90 years old, and he was not yet holding by these midos chasidus. So although Reish Mem is full of anhagos tavos, it's not to be taken as halacha unless you actually ask your local Orthodox rabbi and he asserts to you that it is actually halacha for you. Kasa Aleph. Kasa Rambam so perek dami deos. Rambam writes at the end of the fourth perek of Hilchos Deos. Shichva zeri koach haguf. Semen is the power of the body, the chayav and its life force, umorei naim and the light of the eyes. And if a person expends too much of it, the body is destroyed. The kochokila and his strength is destroyed. The chayav of his life is lost. That's what Shlomo said in his wisdom. Don't give your strength to women. Anybody who is overly involved in having relations, old age jumps upon him, and his strength is sapped, and his eyes are dimmed. A bad smell comes out of his mouth, and from his armpits, and the hair of his head, and his eyelashes, his eyebrows, and his eyelashes, nostrils fall out. And the hair of his beard, and his armpits, raglav, and the hair of his legs, rabbah, becomes much thicker. Shinav flows, his teeth fall out, and many aches, besides these, boim come upon him. And the sages of the doctor said, 1 out of 1,000 dies of other illnesses, and the 999 out of 1,000. Mirov tashmish from too much marital relations. Therefore, person be careful if he wants to be well off. You should not have relations other than when his body is healthy and very strong. And he finds himself having arousal even when he's not thinking lascivious thoughts. And even when he distracts himself to some other issue in his mind, the arousal remains in place. And he finds heaviness from his hips in below, and as if the threads, what are they called? Literally strings, but I'm not sure. The English word eludes me in a minute. By which the testicles hang are extended with soracham, and his flesh is hot. This person has to have relations. And it's a cure for him to have relations. A person should not have relations if he is overly full of food or overly hungry. But rather after the food is digested in his stomach. He should check if he has to defecate before he has relations, and after he has relations. He should not have relations standing up, nor sitting, nor in a bathhouse, nor on the day he's going to enter the bathhouse, nor on the day in which he lets blood, nor on the day in which he's going to go out on a trip, or when he comes back from a trip, not before that time, and not after, not immediately before time, and not immediately after that time. End the quote from the Rambam. It says, a woman yearns for a husband when he's going to trip. You have to have relations there. It's when you're going on a wagon. You're not going by foot. Because that's what she said, that not when you come back or go out on the road. That's when he goes by foot. When you say again, he's going to be overly exhausted. Or he can have relations the night before, not on the day which he's leaving. The Shabbat says, all of these warnings are only in terms of medical advice. But according to strict letter of the law, medical advice aside, a person has to have relations with his wife before he goes out to a trip. One should understand that this desire which Hashem created is not for the purpose of desire in itself, but to sustain the species. V'raya, and the evidence is that when a person emits the semen, then the desire is immediately cut off. Until such time as more seed accumulates, and then the desire comes back again. And also according to intellect and nature, really a person should find this process repugnant. Like Shabbos say, Chazal say himself Shabbos, Ki hu amar v'yeh. He said, and it came to pass. Isha, that's the woman. Hutzivavi Amod, he commanded, and it came to stand. Elu banim, these are children. In other words, Hashem commanded this in order to have procreate. Tana, we learned, Isha tzavadam. A woman is a pitcher full of excrement and blood. I'm saying, full of excrement. Upia male dam, and her mouth, meaning the mouth below, is full of blood. Everybody pursues her. It's a strange thing, says Gemara. If not that Hashem decreed this for the purpose of procreation, would make no sense to have such desires. But Hashem said this should be to sustain the species. The world is not created to be desolate, but rather to be settled. Therefore, any intelligent person, who quests and is in fear of God, will carefully analyze this, and go in his pathway secure, and not stumble, neither in this world, not be embarrassed. And and is known already that in this issue of the proper conduct in intimacy is the source of the holiness of Israel. Kimmel, even when he's with his wife, you have to be modest in this issue. It says that go with modesty, walk with modesty with God. Meaning, even when you're only before God, nobody else sees you. Nevertheless, be modest in your ways. He's and be embarrassed in front of God, your Lord. By God, darkness and light are the same. You also shouldn't be so intimate, constantly intimate with your wife. Rather, according to the measures which are specified by the Torah. Vainu, meaning hatayolim, those who are the idle rich. They just stroll around. They have easy income. And they don't have to I'm not sure exactly what he means by that. They don't have to pay taxes. I don't know. But in any event, I'm sorry. No, the comma is in the wrong place. There are many taxes to pay, comma, they're supposed to have relations every day. And workers who work in other cities, but come home every night, once a week. If they work in their cities, twice a week. There's a difference of opinion. Donkey drivers once a week. Camel drivers that go distances once every 30 days. And sailors who go down to sea once every 6 months. The people he says, the strollers, the idle rich, the people who are healthy and have live a life of pleasure. The period of Talmid Chacham is to have relations with Shabbos to Shabbos. On Shabbos every week. All week on the Torah, and concerning them it says, Asher Piyoi Tein B'ito. He will give his fruit at the proper time. Moshe says that everything depends on the period, and Mizman Hazeh, that it is appropriate for Talmid Chacham also to have relations twice a week, obviously depending on time, place, time of life, etc., etc. You're not allowed to sleep in a room where a husband and wife are sleeping. Even the wife is a nida, somebody else should not sleep in the room. She has a certain special pleasure for being in one room alone with her husband, and they schmooze. Even when she's a nida. She's embarrassed. And concerning such people who sleep in rooms with couples, you are evicting the women of my nation from the houses of their pleasure. Everybody's supposed to have relations with his wife when she comes back from the mikveh. And when he goes out to a trip, if he's not going out to a mitzvah. Even if she's minika, even if she is nursing or pregnant, nevertheless, he has to have relations with her at these times. You see that she's trying to use the right words to encourage him. She is decorating herself in front of before him so that he should pay attention to her. He has to be intimate with her, even if it's not one of the times mentioned above. But when he is intimate with her, he should not have in mind just for his own pleasure. But like somebody who's fulfilling his obligation. And the obligations that the Torah required him not to detract from her the relations which she wants or is coming to her. In order to fulfill the mitzvah of his creator, Sheyula Bani Moskim Torah, they should have children involved in Torah, Mekayim mitzvahs, and film mitzvahs, be saw in the Jewish people. Hey, V'chein Mechaveli Tikkun Avlad, also have in mind for the child to be enhanced, the fetus. Shebashisha Chadashim Achronim, in the last 6 months of pregnancy, Hatash B'shiyafel Avlad, the relations are good for healthy for the child, the fetus. Shemitol Zeh, through on account of these relations, Yetze Avlad Meluban Umazurash, and the child comes out with a bright complexion and comes out quickly. I'm not sure it means that the labor goes quickly, or he comes out and is a diligent soul. And then he meant Shapir Dami, it's good. But the first 3 months of pregnancy, the relations are not healthy for the fetus, but not healthy for the wife. In the middle 3 months, it's not so healthy for the wife, but Yafel Avlad, it's good for the kid. The last 3 months is good for both of them. Also, if a person has a mind to create fences for himself, so he shouldn't have a desire for sinful relations, because he sees his Yetzirah overcoming, rearing itself up and desiring inappropriate relations. If he has relations under those circumstances, he gets reward as well. But you better for him to push off his Yetzirah, on concrete, because there's a small limb in a person, small organ in a person. If he keeps it hungry, it's satisfied. If he satisfies it, it gets more hungry. But somebody does not require relations at this point in time, but he rouses his desire in order to fulfill that desire. It's not the time when he is obligated to have relations with his wife. This is the pathway of the Yetzirah. Min ha-heter, and from that which is permitted, you see, it wills to do some, and listen to that which is forbidden. This is somebody who deliberately arouses himself. He should be in excommunication. The obligation to his wife has full even when she is pregnant or nursing. Somebody who does Tfilas Ezra, he goes to the mikveh after having had an emission or after having relations. And in the winter it's hard for him because they didn't have heated mikvahs. That can exempt him from having relations. Sholem Arisa. He asked Arisa this question. They said if she's not pregnant nor nursing, he certainly cannot forego the obligation. Because if she's pregnant or nursing, nevertheless, he has to get her to be willing to forego it. And if not, he has to fulfill his obligation, even if he can't go to the mikveh. The Mishnah Berurah says, even if you fulfill the mitzvah priya, if you already fulfill the mitzvah puravu, and meaning you had a son and daughter, you're also allowed to desist from your obligation if your wife is willing to forego it. In any event, says the Arukh HaShulchan, why do you not forego it even if you don't have the mikveh? Because the Medina Gemara Batlu Tfiluso. We know that Tfilas Ezra is, according to the Gemara, no longer operative. Just like he has his obligation to have relation on Shabbos, so to B'Yontif for Rosh Chodesh, which I did not know about. About Rosh Chodesh. The Sharat Sion says that it doesn't mean that Tam B'Chacham is an obligation to have relations on Rosh Chodesh Yontif, but rather it means that somebody who is careful Api Kabbalah only to have relations on Friday nights in order to bring down a holy soul for his children, then for this purpose, Rosh Chodesh Yontif are just as good for bringing down a holy soul as Shabbos. Back to our Shofar, Midas Chasidus, Shlomo Shamash, he tells us this is Midas Chasidus. Most everything in this statement is Midas Chasidus. This is Midas Chasidus on a Midas Chasidus. So therefore, this certainly is something which only very, very holy people should consider to accept upon themselves. Not the relations below Rishon Shel Pesach, the first night Pesach, Rishon Shel Shavuos, the first night Shavuos, Leil Shmini Atzeres, and night Shmini Atzeres, in Lo B'Lefil, unless it is a night in which he goes to the mikveh. That's the reason. B'chein Rosh Hashanah, same thing as Rosh Hashanah. Bi'alacha says that the Shuas Yaakov says that somebody hasn't fulfilled Puravu yet, should not be machmir in any of these things. And Arukh HaShulchan himself says, this is all not according to the strict letter of law. The Medina ain't Issachar, but Tisha B'Av Yom Kippur, according to the strict letter of law, so prohibition except for Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur. Therefore, somebody finds it difficult. Nutar is allowed to have relations with Rosh Hashanah, Pesach, Shavuos, and Shmini Atzeres, to have relations in all these nights. The Shabbat says that somebody whose Yetzer Hara is overcoming him, and it can come to a stumbling block as a result. It's a mitzvah to have relations even in Rosh Hashanah. And you should go to the mikveh tomorrow. There's no prohibition except for Yom Kippur Tisha B'Av and drink Avelus, either his or her Avelus. Back to the Shulchan. You should not drink from one cup and think about another cup. Glomar means you shouldn't think when he's having relations with his wife about another woman, even if they're both his wives. Such as in the Arab countries, where they're allowed to take two wives. There's like children of an exchange, which will be clarified later on, not tonight. Zayin, Amr Chazal Mendarim. Chazal Mendarim says, I'm going to separate among you those who rebel and commit crimes against me. Who are they? These are children which are conceived of 9 negative attributes. B'nei Anusa. The first one is children of a compelled relations. Shabal Ishtab onus, when you force your wife to have relations. If you love on its mamish, and that doesn't mean even literally rape, but she doesn't want. Therefore, you have to appease her and only then have relations. Because I'll say also, a person cannot compel his wife to have relations. It says, somebody who presses the legs is a sinner. Anybody compels his wife, he has children who are not good. The Chesiva says, when it's ever without consent, there's not a good soul. We should learn proper derech eretz from a rooster. First, I've never seen this, but first he appeases his hen, and then has relations. And then it says there also, you can learn modesty from a cat, who does not defecate in front of human beings, and covers his excrement. And you can learn theft, in other words, not to steal, from an ant. The Chesiva says, she prepares her bread in the summer. Does not steal from others. And you can learn to avoid adulterous behavior from a dove. She only has relations with its spouse. Derech eretz mitani go ayin sham. You learn derech eretz from a rooster, as it says over there.